All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, one of the last links for the Los Angeles Rams, dating back to their time in St. Louis, has officially called it a career. After a decade of dominance with the Rams, defensive tackle Aaron Donald has decided to retire from the NFL. There was nothing left for Donald to accomplish, who in 10 years with the Rams tallied 111 career sacks, while he was the NFL's defensive rookie 2014, as well as being a three-time NFL Defensive Player of the Year. He was the anchor of that Rams defense, and he played a big part in the Rams winning the Super Bowl several years ago. Now, you could see the writing on the wall dating back to the Rams championship year that Donald could be hanging it up as there was some speculation that he could hang it up right after the Super Bowl. Came back and played two more seasons, still was able to play at a quality level, but when it's all said and done, he just decided it was time to move on. And you know what? You can't knock him because, like I said before, the man had nothing left to prove. Hands down, one of the greatest players defensively in NFL history, regardless of the position. And even in his final season, Donald was a guy who was still commanding double and triple teams from the defensive tackle position. And honestly, if he had decided to keep playing, in my opinion, Aaron Donald could have still dominated and played at an elite level, at least for another 2 or 3 years. So when you look at it, a lot of people, are going to say, Aaron Donald is the greatest defensive tackle of all time. For me, you know, I still think it's Joe Green, but I think Aaron Donald is right there in that conversation because you look at the way that both Joe Green and Aaron Donald consistently commanded double and triple teams, and they make things easier for the players around them. And you think about the Ram linebackers, you think about the other Ram defensive linemen, how they were able to play off of Aaron Donald. And of course, when you have the ability to rush the quarterback, like he did up front, it makes life easier for your secondary. You just think about some of the numbers: 111 sacks. Okay, from the defensive tackle position is not easy, especially in this day and age when there are so many rules in place to protect the quarterback. You go back to Aaron Donald's 2018 season with the Rams: 20 and a half sacks, 25 tackles for loss. And again, I mean, 20 sacks in the NFL is nothing to sneeze at, okay? But, doing it from the defensive tackle position is amazing. And you just think about it for a moment because you think about great pass rushers, and usually they're your defensive ends, they're your outside linebackers in the 3-4 system, you name it. But just being able to create that pressure and doing it, like I said, while you're consistently doubled and triple team, that's what makes Aaron Donald, in my opinion, one of the greatest defensive players ever. So clearly, this is going to be a huge void for the Los Angeles Rams because, not only for Donald's playmaking ability, but also his leadership. And again, when you have one guy who commands so much attention from opposing teams, it definitely leaves a void. Guys like Aaron Donald just don't come down the pike, once a year or a couple of times a year. No. So that's going to be a huge void to fill for the Los Angeles Rams. And of course, some people are going to say, well, does Donald's retirement change the Rams' thought process into the going into the NFL draft next month? Possibly. But I will say this: if you're the Rams, you should have seen the writing on the wall the last couple of years that you kind of knew that this day was coming, and now it's here. Now the Rams do have several holes to fill on both sides of the football heading into the draft, and of course heading into next season. This was a playoff team last year. They were a veteran-laden team, of course, with both Aaron Donald and Matthew Stafford at quarterback. But nonetheless, we've seen the coaching ability from Sean McVay in this retooling for the Rams, and I think it's going to be imperative for them to go out there and try to find somebody to replace Aaron Donald, and it's easier said than done because whoever has to do it, they've got to go out there and replace a legend. And like I said, life will be different defensively for the Rams because when you got a guy, and I don't want to sound like a broken record, but when you got a guy who can consistently command double and triple teams, it changes things up for the entire complexion of what you're doing defensively. Make no mistake about it, the next stop for Aaron Donald will be Canton. He'll be there in 5 years, along with center Jason Kelsey from the Philadelphia Eagles, who also just recently retired as well. I think both of them, in my opinion, are going to be first ballot Hall of Famers. And again, for what Aaron Donald was able to do, from that DT position and getting to the 100 sack club. And I mean, he's not even like the leader all time in this Rams history. You think about, some of the great pass rushers that they've had. Of course, Deacon Jones coming from that fearsome foursome, and then of course Jack Youngblood and so many others. But nonetheless, it was a hell of a career. And Aaron Donald leaves, the NFL, no stones unturned. He accomplished everything: a defensive rookie of the year, a Super Bowl champion, a three-time defensive player of the year, or more than 100 sacks. Dude made the Pro Bowl darn near every year in the league, and he had the respect of a lot of people around the league as well. So you know what? The same way that Aaron Donald played, he played, his style on his watch, and that's basically on his terms, and that's how he's leaving the NFL. He's leaving on his terms. He played at a high level. He's leaving at a high level, and when it's all said and done, the history books will remember Donald as one of the best to ever do it. So, folks, that's going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank all of you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now you can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, and I am signing off. And I'm saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.